Okay, and we can maybe let people in.
All of them? Perfect. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. We're starting with some lovely music, which we will maybe put a little bit lower. Good morning, everybody. Can hear me. We're starting with some lovely music, which we will maybe put a little bit lower. Good morning, everybody. Can hear me. We're starting with some. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Before we officially start our first exciting week of Imagine 4.7 and officially start our first day of this global event organized by Bridge 47, well, we will be activating our 3 sources of energy. So we will look at cool minds, warm hearts, and strong hara. Every day and every single day of this 3-day week, we would like to start with you in this grounding and focusing morning and to get you also prepared for today's activities. So I just wanted to remind you very briefly of the program for today, and we hope you will be joining several sessions with us so that you know what is coming up. So after this morning session, we will imagine a future with SDG 4.7. Then we will meet Stefania Giannini. In the afternoon, we will learn how to engage our audience and then also at the end, travel to the year 2048. As you might have seen already, we are recording and live streaming. I will post in the chat very briefly the details for all our social media channels and also a Padlet you might have seen already in the email we sent to you. And of course, feel welcome to share our social media channels and use the hashtag. And well, I'm not going to continue. I'm handing over to Jana Leidenfrost. She will be introducing you to our facilitator of today's morning session. Thank you, Jana.
It's wonderful. Thank you, Ricarda. So it's such a nice opening you provided to us. And we thought no matter what's the weather outside, we are going to have a morning here with a really sunny weather inside. Because like you said, all of us who are involved in this kind of transformative work and education, we are always like the sun for others or the stars, like in the sky you see. And very often it's necessary that we also recharge our energy and the batteries. And that's why we are here this morning with the topic of focus. We will be here with Bernd Joschke. He's based in leadership training and also in Japanese Zen monk training. And the next mornings we will come with analogies from sports and others. I think also Rainer is here also already this morning. We will see him tomorrow. But today we are here with Bernd. And we will focus, like you said, Ricardo, on 3 sources of energy. A cool mind, a warm heart, and a strong heart. And the result for this session should be, some of you might be still like this a little bit because you worked the night, you prepared everything, or you did a lot during the weekend, but in the end of the session, it will be like that. So good morning from the whole team. And may you also have a cup of tea or something, or a cup of coffee, you take it to your hand right now. And let's start the morning with something which is a little ceremony in Japanese training. Bernd, you will highlight this for us. Here we are. Good morning to all of us. Let's have a sip of tea or coffee together, and then this is the start. So, Bernd, now over to you.
Ready for me? Okay.
Yes.
Hello and welcome. Very happy to meet you. And as Jana said, this is a little ritual when we do our training here in Germany with friends, or when we are in a Japanese monastery. The responsible people, they meet in the morning and they talk about the day, what duties we are on. And when we finish this, it's about 10 minutes, we sit together in silence. There is served a little cup of tea. We drink our tea, and it's very important, they say, it connects. It makes one heart. And this is very important when we do hard work, also to have one heart. So, and we tried this morning to get one heart. I will tell you a little bit about our 3-point training. We will do a little meditation, and in the end, we have also a gift for you. So, gift for every day and whole life. It starts now. Okay. What we talk about is focus. Normally, we focus outside. Anything we focus on. When we are in sports, we have a tennis ball, we focus on the tennis ball. When we in traffic, we focus on the red light, better on the green light. Yeah. When we focus in work, we focus on our file. On angry things, on happy things, we always focus outside. Today, we change. We make a change. The great change is we focus inside. Because it is not the world, it is the mind. Yeah. When you have a happy mind, outside everything is funny. When you are in depression, outside it's very dark. Even if it's sunny weather, you will have a problem. So we will switch on inside three lights, and we will always walk in sunny weather. Even if it rains, we will walk in sunny weather. First point is our head. We have two in Germany. We say ha, 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 ha. Yeah, laughing. Ha, ha, ha. It's 3H. The first H is head. To have a cool head is very important. To look on the world, not in trouble, not confused, but with a cool head to see what is going on, to have a navigation system in your head and no trouble with the electric, and it finds a way to the goal, and you are not disturbed by other ways. So the first thing, to have a cool mind. Cool and clear mind through the troubles of the world, sunny side of life. The second H, what it is? Sure, it is your heart. Please, we make a little bit training. You put your hand on your heart, you open it, and you make a tone. Ah, yeah. Again, ah, and please, with all your love. Oh, think on your lover. Oh. You say it's very easy to live with open and warm heart. We are humans, and when we open the door, there are all lovers outside. They cannot refuse you, but you must open your heart. It's up to you. And so it's very important to work on your heart, to work with your heart, and to make a sunny heart. That's a duty of meditation. And the third is, you know it perhaps from Japanese samurai, yeah? They make hara, what hara? You know it perhaps? Harakiri. Harakiri means the lower belly, there is the energy point of strong samurai, yeah? And when they kill themselves, they kill the hara, yeah? They destroy their hara. But we do not destroy, no, we put all our energy in our hara with our breathing. Yeah, you feel the belly rising and falling, rising and with each breath, you get more endless energy in your belly. It does not stop. Okay, and the fourth hara, the fourth age is you go in harmony with the hara energy. You connect and go in coherence with your heart and your head. Yeah, this is very important. Head is cool, heart is warm, and hara is full of energy. So, and now let's have a short meditation. Let's have a short, yeah, warm heart. You see, it's a mother caring her child, and this is a strong energy, hara power. So please, let's have a short meditation so that we can come to your gift after the meditation. You can close your eyes, look inside, and not need to think, only follow my guidance. Please close your eyes. Look inside. We are all at a wonderful place, a peaceful place, in a nice moment, early morning, and we are going to practice together. Sit in an upright position. Be totally aware inside. Stable on your chair. And then we practice as following. Our breath is calm, long and is soft, easy breathing. Our body becomes still, a still and stable seat. Our back is upright. Our neck is stretched. The chin a little bit drawn back. And the chest is greeting the sun. Our balanced center is our hara. The lower belly is our hara and the balanced center. A stable, upright, noble posture. Our feeling inside becomes, well, it's a good feeling inside. Everything is perfect. Here, now, and training with a lot of persons together. A deep, soft feeling, and on our face, a light smile. Our mind is peaceful, but very fresh, very much alive, present only in this moment. Breathing in, we are totally aware of breathing in. Breathing out, we are totally aware of breathing out. First, we focus on our lower belly, called hara. Breathing in, deep breathing in, our belly rises. Breathing out, our belly fall. Breathing in, rise. Breathing out, fall. Breathing in, focus on hara, we say hara. Breathing out, we say energy. Hara, energy. Hara, energy. And with each breath, our energy in our belly increases. A strong and a powerful, very much alive hara point. Hara, energy. Then we focus our heart. Breathing in our heart, we say warm. Breathing out, we say heart. Warm, heart. Warm, heart. And we feel our beating and warm and friendly human heart. Only with goodwill, friendly to everybody, an open heart, not only to close persons, but open to the whole world. A warm heart like a mother heart, caring and sheltering her child. Warm heart. The third, we focus on our head. Breathing in our head, we say cool. Breathing out, we say mind. Cool, mind. Cool, mind. And we feel the coolness, the airiness in our head, like a sunny room with a light wind, a Mediterranean room, very easy, very light, very clear. Everything is sunny. Cool mind. With a cool mind, a warm heart, a strong hara, and all together, breathing together in a great harmony. Harmony between head and heart and hara. In silence. Every day I take my time to sit in silence, listening to the rhythm of the word. I take in the sounds of life and gently resonate with them. My mind is clear like a mountain lake, reflecting the brightness of the full autumn moon. Please put your hands in gasho like this. Make a slight bow and welcome. Are you ready for your present? So, okay, I hope you had a nice but short meditation. You are in a good mood. And now we will put this training we had now in a very short form. I will show you, and please, you make it just like me. Take the right hand, the thumb and the finger. You press together and you say, cool mind, cool, cool, cool. And you have the feeling of a very cool and sunny and airy room in your head. Cool, very cool, cool mind, yeah? Pressing, feeling, airy, sunny, cool. Okay, other hand, left hand from the heart. You say warm, warm, warm heart. And you feel the warm and motherly and friendly heart. Warm heart, yeah? And whenever you press left thumb and finger, you have the feeling of the warm and motherly and lovely heart. Okay, we train. Cool, warm, cool, warm, cool head, warm heart, cool head, warm heart. And now the third one is you press both hands, both fingers, and you say strong, strong, and the strong comes from your lower belly, your hara. Yeah, your hara power, both. And someone is disturbing you, you only say strong, and he will feel it and he will shut up. Okay, strong, strong hara, strong samurai hara. Cool, warm, strong, warm, cool, strong, strong, cool, warm, warm, strong, cool, strong. Okay, please make many use of it, and you can form your feeling inside. Yeah, and so from inside you create the world outside. It is our mind that creates the world, and if our mind is sunny, it's outside funny. Okay, that was the morning with me. I hope you will have a wonderful morning.
Bernd, thanks a lot. First
Yes.
of all, I think the whole audience has now the dance through the 3 days. Cool, warm, strong.
The Zen dance.
Whenever this moment comes up, you know, okay, this is it. This is the microdosing dance, so to say. because all who have been here this morning, they know it already. And the second thing is, this is actually what we wanted to gift you for this morning, really, to know and to remind yourself to the momentum that, like Bernd, you said, inside sunny, outside funny. Whenever we want to create change, whenever we head out to any transformation, it starts by cultivating those qualities inside ourselves. The principle for today, to remember your focus, is energy flows where attention goes. So in the end, we will find out that the attention we have is a very powerful tool to create any change in the world. It starts with our attention. And today we had it to cool mind, warm heart, strong hara. Maybe, Bernd, to wrap this up, and I know this is the bridge also for tomorrow, you tell a little bit what is the meaning of any ritual in the monastery or in your training, like this is a ritual, the sitting up straight is a ritual. So how do you work with rituals? Why is it important in your training?
Especially in the cloister, the whole day, even the sleeping is a ritual. Yeah, and so you choose what you want to do the day and what is making the best day. Yeah, what is not making happy, leave it away, throw it away. Yeah, you have to choose, and then when you made the choice, you go this way. Yeah, and so my day, I have special rituals. I say I go from joy to joy. Yeah, nothing other. If someone comes and make me unhappy, I say bye-bye. Yeah, and then I go back to my ritual. Or if he wants, I take him into my world. Yeah, and if he have clean shoes, he can go with me on the path. Yeah, and my path, very happy from joy to joy, from morning from the morning at 4:30 till evening at 10 o'clock. I'm always happy. Yeah, in Germany you say he's a routinier. Yeah, he knows what to do, and it is not my second nature, the rituals, sondern it's my first nature. I'm always live in the world I choose. Yeah, and if some like to join me, welcome. If not, I say, okay, you will have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Okay, great. So I think that's the best bridge for the next program. From joy to joy. Ricarda, you have the next momentum, then we'll be imagining a future which is hopefully full of joy and the best routines that help us cultivate our best energies. Yes, this is our morning, a wonderful start, and I hand over to you, back to you, Ricarda. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jana and Bernd. It was amazing to start the day with you, and we definitely should integrate more rituals in our daily life like this also, well, to feel joy in order to be happy. So I hope we're all feeling focused and prepared for today. By the way, tomorrow we will be able to join a ski jumper when he's jumping down the slope. So you should definitely join us tomorrow morning as well for this transformational power that we will be experiencing tomorrow. So as Jana has already mentioned, we will envision the 4.7 roadmap in about 10 minutes. So now you have 10 minutes to grab a coffee, stretch your legs, when we will continue with our official opening session of Imagine 4.7. So we will be looking at the Envision 4.7 roadmap that has been developed by Bridge 47 Network, and will imagine our next steps forward onto the path to really implementing target SDG 4.7. So grab your coffee, and I think we will have some music in the meantime as well, and see you in 9 minutes when we officially open our Imagine 4.7 conference. Thank you so much.
Everyone, and welcome to this super exciting event what we are going to start now. So thanks a lot for joining us, and good morning, good day, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are. So this is really our global event called Imagine 4.7. And I'm really happy to see so many familiar faces, but of course always the new faces, because that really tells that how big and wide network we are having. So welcome all of you to using these 3 days together with us and making these 3 days together with us, because all of us, we can really meaningfully contribute to the event. So we're trying to put together a program which is full of very interesting activities, ranging from advocacy to singing, and hope that you can really participate as much as possible on that and make it really happening, which really fits most for you and your colleagues. So just pick what most resonates for you. And the Bridge 47 Networks, who is now behind on this event, like you might know, is the network of people passionate about transformative education and SDG Target 4.7. And we advocate for space for advocacy for the Target 4.7, transformative education into policies in all levels, from the local to global. And we come together to network, share, learn around the topics of transformative education. And if you're not yet the member of the network, please join us and make it even better. We want to celebrate and imagine during these days the beauty of what we have learned during the last 3 years when we have had the Bridge 47 projects to existed. And for example, one of the topics today is the Envision 4.7 roadmap, which we did together a couple of years ago to increase the need of the Target 4.7, especially from the advocacy point of view. Another important point what we're trying to promote today and to the days to come is the learning. We do hope that you can really learn a lot from these days. And like many of you are familiar, there's so-called famous Delors report made in 1996, which exactly nicely reminded us about the several aspects of the learning. And those aspects are learning to know, learning to do, learning to be, and learning to live together. And I think it's sometimes, especially in these days where we are living in this planet at the moment, it's a very good reminder to stop and think for a while about all those aspects of the learning. And I do hope that we can learn during these days a lot. Of course, sharing us as well is super important part of this collective work what we are doing. But to help us to learn us as well, we are going to have the graphic harvesting on this session too. So that is helping us to learn as well, and really looking forward about the outcomes of this first part of the graphic recording as well. So looking forward for that. But before moving on the other programs, we are also very happy that we are going to see a video from the European Commissioner for International Partnership, Jutta Urpilainen, who unfortunately is occupied another place, but wanted to be with us today somehow, and she recorded a short video, which I think it is going to be quite interesting contribution from her side as well. So perhaps we can take the momentum and see that video.
Tell me, and I'll forget. Show me, and I may remember. Involve me, and I will understand. Dear friends, global citizenship education shapes minds, lives, and entire communities. It shapes our societies. It empowers us to change the way we think and act. It helps us to confront challenges like climate change, the digital divide, or inequality. That's why I am so delighted that the EU Development Education and Awareness Programme continues to promote global citizenship education, including through support for actions like the Bridge 47 project. This project is bringing everyone to the global education table, in particular young people. Together, educators, civil society, students and policymakers, let's dare to imagine a better world. Let's dare to raise our voices. Let's dare to stand up and take action for a more sustainable future for all.
Thank you very much on that. I think it was really a strong message. Let's dare to use this time together. As well, I think we're going to have the 3 days really inspiring program, really inspiring people. This is now our time to use about these opportunities, and I'm really happy to welcome all of you on behalf of Bridge 47 for this event. But now I think it's time to move on for the first, or let's say the next, not the first, but the next part of the program, and where we are going to have an interesting panel. And now I'm really happy to hand over the floor to Brikena, who is the director of the Lifelong Learning Platform, and she has kindly promised to moderate this panel. So over to you, Brikena.
Thank you, really, and good morning to everyone. I hope you can hear me. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good everything for everyone. And thank you for Bridge 47 for organizing the event and for having me as the moderator of it. It's quite a pressure, I have to say, as the Bridge 47 events are all about the participants' engagement, and that's always a difficult task for the moderator, especially in the online world. So I promise that this will be 1.5 hours of quite engaging session, although we are accompanied by a number of experts that will enlighten us and will bring their expertise and also their share about Envision 4.7. So I'm very glad to be the moderator, and I hope you can also enjoy that. And I'm going to start with you, the participants, very clearly and easy, through Slido. So the team of Bridge 47 will be sharing the screen. We would like you to use slido.com with a hashtag target 4.7. And we want you to share what the world will look like if we will implement the SDG 4.7 successfully. So tell us, what do you think the world would look like if finally, beautiful, of course. We'll wait maybe a few seconds for everyone to be able to join. You have to go on a browser, obviously, and type slido.com. And then the code to enter is hashtag target 4.7 without the points, so just 47. The colleagues have also posted the link to slido.com in the chat. Okay, I see already fair, it's becoming more prominent, harmonious, fulfilling, beautiful, equitable, diverse, peaceful, ethical, what else? Caring, equal. Let me see, solidarity, obviously. I'm trying to see innovative, why not? Peaceful and sustainable, yes. Nice, calm. Better. I like your creativity. What else do we have here? Brave, new. Green. We all need some more green in this world, for sure. Fair, just, equal, and peaceful so far look like the main caring and compassionate, some say in the chat. You can obviously share on the chat as well if you have troubles with slido.com. I know that it's not obvious for everyone. Fair, just, equal. So we see that more or less everyone agrees on, let's say, 4 keywords. Yeah. So we have fair as the main. So the world would look like more fair if 4.7 would actually be successfully implemented. I hope the speakers will agree with that, and then maybe they can elaborate later on it. Peaceful. Okay, I don't know if there are still more people. We have 31 people, if I'm not 32 now, that have voted or have expressed their, while on the participants list, we have around 70 people. So I don't know if everyone is able to share. If not, I think we have enough to start the discussion. What do you think? Shall we then start with these words? Fair, just, peaceful. Okay, so we will start actually by bringing everyone on the same foot, let's say, or on the same page. I don't know how many of you are aware of the Envision 4.7 and the actual event that took place 2 years ago, just a few months before the pandemic. But in case you are not, we have prepared a very short video to highlight the main and key moments of this event, which was quite an important one, where a roadmap was designed by quite a large group of organizations and experts from across Europe and the world. So maybe the technical team can share the video in a second. Yes.
November 2019. Experts from across different countries, sectors and backgrounds were brought together by the Bridge 47 network in order to pool their insights and co-create a series of policy recommendations, setting out a pathway for Europe to achieve Sustainable Development Goal Target 4.7 and support the type of transformative education Target 4.7 describes. The Envision 4.7 roadmap was born out of this collective approach. Threaded throughout the document is the belief that we need transformative education to support systemic critical thinking and adapt our ways of relating to each other and the world around us, in order to understand the interrelated and complex nature of the global problems we face, seeing the bigger picture even when it isn't always as it seems, allowing us to rethink and reimagine our way forward. The ability to think in this way is key if Europe is to achieve its educational vision, its green ambitions, and if we are to unlock the chance of a more just and sustainable world for ourselves and others. The 6 different strands of the roadmap lay the foundations for next steps. Their recommendations traverse the need for an inclusive approach between all types of transformative education and emphasize the importance of formal, non-formal and informal education across all ages and stages of life. They outline the value of cross-sectoral cooperation and the kind of competencies or skills needed to deal with uncertain times ahead. The roadmap looks at the resources and resourcing needed to make Target 4.7 a reality, and the indicators to measure and monitor progress. The culmination of years of collective expertise of attendees, of learning and unlearning, the Envision 4.7 roadmap advocates that now is the time to turn the page, to set our ways of thinking, our ways of doing, our ways of being on a different path. Be part of that story.
Thank you to the team for sharing this video. I hope you get a grasp of what Envision 4.7 is. For me, obviously, as also one of the participants and part of the team that drafted the roadmap together, obviously with the 100 of participants, was quite an experience. And I would say that indeed this cross-sectoral cooperation was one of the main highlights and takeaways as well. And the fact that we brought together organizations working in the field of education and sustainable development, which was not necessarily an easy task to do. And I think this was the added value of also drafting this roadmap together. But I don't like to be alone speaking to the screen. So I would like to invite the speakers, the guests that we have today with us, in order to have also their share on this experience, as most of you were actually also quite involved in this Envision 4.7, and I would like to hear more about what inspired and how this roadmap inspired your work at the different levels, being it national, regional, or at the institutional level. So maybe we can start with Albin Keuch, who is the director of Sloga platform. We want to hear from you. How do you think hello and good morning or good afternoon? You tell us where you are. And yeah, what was the inspiration that you took from Envision 4.7 at the national level? Can you share some examples with us? So 2 minutes for you to start the conversation. Thank you, Albin, and welcome.
Thank you, Ken. I hope you can hear morning in Slovenia. It's rainy, nothing unusual for the fall we have in May. But we are learning that, and we know that we will adapt to that. Thank you very much for the opportunity to talk about the inspirational element of the Envision 4.7 roadmap from kind of a national point of view. But let me say that the place, the time, and the people that were involved in the making of Envision 4.7, they were all right. We knew at that particular moment that we are not on track to achieve the sustainable development goal on education. Still having millions of, hundreds of millions who are not literate, 2/3 of whom are women, hundreds of millions in school. Impact of climate change and social fabrics being hard. And then having COVID-19, nobody expected, made it even worse. But this was and is our common scenery. And we have a decade to fulfill the Sustainable Development Target. It can be done by the spirit that was in Helsinki at that moment of our common and shared responsibility and accountability for making just the world, as the slide showed. And I'm really thankful to be able to share this with the Bridge 47 of Bridge 47 community that came out of the whole project. And Envision 4.7 had 4 soundings in Slovene global education community and for us as a national platform for global education. And first, it improved our networking on national level by creating the ties with many institutional stakeholders, working in the fields of transformative education, acting as a catalyst for coming together. And we all know it takes a village to teach the teacher. Yeah? And second, it was for our advocacy work, as the 7 was the key reference point to make an impact on education policy making, especially in time when we are renewing and updating our primary and secondary school curriculum. And we advocate for stronger global competencies, so Slovenia is weaker as it could be. Third, we made new partnerships to create further policies to understand and work together for transformative education. We had a very fruitful collaboration with Slovenian Institute for Adult Education and Social Sciences, FACTS, and other actors, learning. And for the whole process, before and after Envision, informed our global education community in an innovative way, becoming a part of our common strategy and action plan for the next year. So it's embedded into what our community of global educators is. It was a learning journey, where we learned how important is the path, the format for our common work. And to be clear, Envision 4.7 was creating the survival of the future generations on this planet. And that message is sounding today. It's time to learn and act for our planet now. So let's work together. Thank you, Bertrand.
Thank you to you, Albin. Indeed, it's all about the journey. I agree with you on that. Let's have maybe Miguel Carvalho da Silva. I'm trying to say it correctly and fully, because I know, is this a Portuguese name? You will correct me if so. Program manager from North-South Center of Council of Europe. So what was also your takeaway and inspiration from this roadmap on a regional level? Is there any example of your work that you can share with us in just 2 minutes? And where are you? So we know also the geographical position. Miguel, can you hear us? Yes, okay. No, we can't hear you. Try now.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
perfect.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Good.
we can.
Very
Go
good
ahead.
morning to all fellow panelists and fellow educators across the continents. It's a pleasure to be online with you. And I am based in Lisbon, and very sunny Lisbon. So straight to the point. What was, the main take from Envision 47 process? I would say the drafting process itself was really a very insightful initiative, bringing actors from formal and non-formal educators from across different continents. Was an excellent process to really have a shared, and insightful understanding of the pedagogical interest of target point 4.7. So I would say that this process, this intercultural and peer learning process, was really the cement of Envision 47, and the fact that also it gave, it enabled to have a shared vision and a shared understanding of, advocacy mechanisms and implementation mechanisms. I think this is fundamental. This partnership is the strength of this process, and actually somehow it corresponded to already ongoing process that was in motion, and that where main actors and institutional actors, practitioners, were working hand in hand for the advocacy and capacity building of target 4.7. For the North-South Center, it reinforces, yes, this partnership, and actually we are working, or we have been working on the development of competences and skills and values, and a set of also of indicators for formal and non-formal educators, and very much in line with Envision 47, and also in line with the Council of Europe reference framework for competences for democratic culture. So all in all, this is what I would underline, the partnership, a coordinated approach, and working, hand in hand for shared competences, shared indicators, and a shared understanding of advocacy mechanisms. This is it.
Thank you, Miguel. And indeed, that was also what most of us took away, how to use this roadmap for better advocacy on the issue. And I think to some extent, most of us also managed to get the best out of it. We will move to the next speaker, but at the same time, I would like to just remind everyone that I know we will be having all the speakers answering to those questions, but we want you to also ask questions to them while they are speaking. So please continue to use the slido.com using the code that was given at the beginning, target 47. You can use to write your questions at any time. We will be looking at it, no worries. So let's move maybe to Lydia. Lydia, you also had quite a tough job in the drafting process of the Envision 4.7, as together with me and other colleagues were quite involved in the actual writing. And from UNESCO perspective, what was your biggest inspiration from this roadmap, and how or if it helped in your work at UNESCO, in which way? Can you share it with us today? Thank you, Lydia, for joining us, and also share where you are just to see how lucky or not. Welcome. We can't hear you, Lydia, so maybe you also have an audio issue. By lucky, I mean only by the weather, so not the place where you are.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yes, not so lucky. I'm in rainy Paris today. And it feels a bit odd between season at the moment, but the sun is shining from my computer, and I'm really happy to be there with you and honored to be invited to this panel. So my warm welcome to you all, to you in particular, to the panel.
Lydia, just sorry to interrupt you. Your sound is very low, so maybe if you can try to,
hello, maybe it's the microphone positioning.
Yeah, maybe if you can try to keep it close. Yeah, I think some participants can't hear you very well.
Better?
Yes, now it's better. Yes.
Okay.
You have some thumbs up, so.
Okay, thank you.
Now it works. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, I'm mindful of time, and it's like my 2 minutes are up. I don't want to over, but I was just thanking you warmly and saying the sun was shining from the screen, though I'm in rainy Paris, and it's really delightful to see all these faces, familiar faces, and really a warm welcome to friends, to colleagues, panelists, and the many groups and people who are connected to this group. It's always a pleasure to be participating in Bridge events. I feel like I'm coming home to a group that has always been a source of inspiration, and this brings me to the question that was just posed. And I agree with Miguel. I think you said it very nicely. I won't repeat it and couldn't say it so well. What we've taken away from the process in general. So it's about advocacy, it's about learning about the process and the importance of partnership. And also, I guess for UNESCO, it was extremely timely because it corresponded to a moment where we felt the need to be comforted, encouraged, and supported in our positioning in-house to see ESD to be, as you know, global citizenship education very much tied to education for sustainable development and other forms of education. But we've been trying to promote the message that Target 4.7 is coherent. There is, though some would believe it's a mishmash of elements, but we do believe in the coherence of Target 4.7. And that ESD and GCD are bound together by this common transformative agenda. But sometimes these various areas have taken a life of their own. So we felt that this, the Envision process and outcome document was a real timely document to support our internal arguments within our constituencies of the importance of highlighting that common and articulating that common core, and also maybe taking it out of the formal education process, which was insufficiently highlighted. So different parts of the organization picked up on this aspect in particular, and those working on adult education, I think were particularly attentive to that aspect of things. And for us, just to say that sort of bolstered and strengthened by the vision process, we launched our own internal reflection, constituting an agile team where we've tried to re-articulate our understanding of Target 4.7 and what would be the theory of change around Target 4.7 for the organization, very much looking at the Vision 4.7 document. We've, on that basis, relaunched and stimulated conversation with our field colleagues and different parts of the organization. Also building on the very interesting work that was done by the Futures of Education. I hope some of you have been able to participate in that work that UNESCO has launched, and also connecting with their thinking to inspire the programs in the next 2 to 4 years. In that respect, I would like to say that, in fact, looking beyond the Delors report, talking about the different pillars of education, to know, to be, to do, and to live together, we are now, in fact, speaking of learning to become. We are a new pillar, so sort of emerging from this work on the futures of education, I think speaks particularly to this transformative education that we try to highlight, that is highlighted in Vision 4.7. So I think all these elements are nicely coming together. And we are, as we are moving into an era of what we are now calling sort of the value of regenerative, restorative functions of education in this time of crisis, where we need to heal as a society, where we need to heal an education system, building a more inclusive and resilient world. And of course, all the different transformative forms of education have a key role in that. Yeah, so maybe I'll just stop here. Thank you.
Thank you, Lydia, for sharing your insights on this as well. And I could also witness last week the World UNESCO event on the Education for Sustainable Development. That was quite a take on this topic, on the target 4.7. So indeed, the UNESCO is working very hard on the issue. Thank you again. And while moving to the next speaker, I would like to still remind all the participants that are actively listening and carefully listening to us that they continue to use Slido to ask their questions, or the chat, obviously, as well. And moving to UNESCO Asia Pacific Center for Education for International Understanding. Welcome, Mr. Hyun Mook Lim. I'm sorry if I pronounce it wrong. Tell us about the weather first, and then, of course, how the Bridge 47 inspired your work, and if you can share any examples with us today. Thank you and welcome.
Sure. Well, we have a sunny day here in Seoul, South Korea. Very good morning and good afternoon. I'm very pleased to see many familiar faces. Really, Lydia and Nora and many others, and also many new faces. Thank you very much for inviting us, APCIU, to this wonderful seminar or conference. Certainly the Envision 4.7 roadmap has a number of important points or lessons that are relevant and useful to the work of APCIU and more broadly to the Asia Pacific region, stressing the need for regional framework for 4.7, which should be developed by multiple stakeholders, calling for coalitions of different approaches and interpretations on diverse types of transformative education, emphasis on lifelong learning approach and cross-sectoral cooperation, and also monitoring and resource mobilization issues. These are all important for the work of the APCIU and more broadly the Asia Pacific region to promote global citizenship education in the region. But the process itself to develop this regional roadmap for SDG 4.7 is particularly impressive to us. The process was truly participatory and inclusive, and the wide range of stakeholders took part and provided inputs for the roadmap. In the Asia Pacific region, we do have a similar platform. The UNESCO Bangkok office and other partners have organized a regional forum annually to review the current situation and discuss ways forward for SDG 4. So each year we have dealt with 1 or 2 targets of SDG 4. So far, the forum has focused on 4.7, inclusive education, technical and vocational education, and higher education. So this forum is not entirely dedicated to SDG 4.7, but covers all different targets of SDG 4. In this regard, the existence of the European roadmap for SDG 4.7 is telling a lot for our region, Asia Pacific region. If we had this kind of regional roadmap for 4.7 in this region, it would greatly help us advance transformative education, including education for global citizenship and sustainable development. Thank you.
Thank you to you. Happy you are in the sunny Seoul. Moving to the next and the last speaker, but not the least, obviously, I would like to invite also Agata Sobiek. I hope I pronounced your family name correct. Head of Youth and the DEAR section at the Director General for International Partnerships from the European Commission. Well, Agata, you know that this Envision 4.7 roadmap was actually tailored to the European Union, or to the European level, let's say. And the question for you, obviously, apart from the inspiration that you might have taken, is where do you see the potential for the policy recommendations or the recommendations of this roadmap to be taken up at the European level? And what is your share from this work? Thank you for joining us. And if you are in Brussels, you could tell us how the weather is.
Thank you, and good morning to everyone. The weather is pretty bad. So it's good to have, to see quite a lot of smiley faces on the screen. It helps, I think, to feel better. So yeah, just to I think compared to, maybe compare the situation to 2 years ago, I feel where I started working on the topic, I feel there is much more awareness currently and understanding that there is a need to have a longer term and more strategic approach to global education or global citizenship education in Europe. And I feel you can see it in the Council, so amongst member states, but also within the European Commission. And I really believe that that's the Envision and in general, the initiative, the Bridge 47 initiative has contributed to it, along also maybe with a few others, including, for instance, Global Education Network Europe network. So there I feel that this has been a sort of big advocacy and sort of initiatives that's for a change, for a long-term approach, and I feel that the voices are being heard. At our level, at the European level, the EU level, well, we have the DEAR program, the Development Education Awareness Raising Program, which is the only program in the Commission that really looks at the global education more holistically. There are others that cover certain topics, be it, of course, education and culture and Erasmus, but also climate education and fundamental rights, fair trade, and so on. And I feel that there is also a space, and we are really trying to go beyond our own sort of international partnership development and so on, and really trying to bring the different actors within the Commission together to try to put a more comprehensive approach. And I think this is something that has started, but it's quite a work, I think, and it still will take some time. But I feel there is space and there is interest, so I think it's a good start. Also linked to cross-sectoral cooperation, which is very much the important part of the Envision document. Also within the DEAR program, we're trying to diversify our multi-stakeholders group, revising the membership and also the mandate of that group. And we're trying to see how to bring on board also other stakeholders or groups of stakeholders that have not really been previously represented. So I think this is also one of the sort of examples of us moving in the right direction, also following the Envision document. Maybe one more element as well is, because that's also an important element of work in the context of Bridge 47, is the measuring the impact and the change. And there again, I feel there have been a lot of developments in the area and that we are going in the right direction. And there's a lot of work by different actors, be it civil society, be it member states, but also for us at the European Commission, we have also started to develop a better results framework for the DEAR program. We are moving ahead, and I feel that if we bring all those efforts together from all actors, sometimes looking maybe from different angle, but when we put it all together, I feel this will really help us to have something that there is a framework that is going to have an agreement from all stakeholders and something that will be a comprehensive way to show us what works, what does not work, and why the global education is so important. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Agata, for sharing this first thoughts with us. And you touched upon some of the topics actually that we want to ask the participants. So now is their time. So guests remain with us, obviously, because we will come back to you. But let's see what the participants think about what is indeed the most important thing to make the target 4.7 a reality. And we want you to use the slido.com again with the same code that the team has shared through the chat. We have a question, the one that I just actually mentioned, but with multiple choice. So you have a few options of how you want to answer and what you think is the most important thing to make this target 4.7 implementation a reality. And the options that you find there is first, if you think that collaborating between different types of transformative education is actually very important or not. The team is sharing also the screen as you are answering to the question. Multiple choice is obviously possible, but try to also prioritize if you can. The second option is about cross-sectoral collaboration, recognizing the importance of lifelong and life-wide learning, better monitoring and progress, that was also mentioned by our guests and speakers, and then investing in competences for 4.7, and then the last, ensuring we have sufficient resources in place. So let's see what you're actually choosing. Okay, so I do see cross-sectoral collaboration coming quite prominently. Okay, it's competing. The different options are still on the moving. Only 24 of you have answered so far. We can do better. There are a lot more participants, so don't be shy. Share your thoughts about what do you think is the most important for making it a reality. So far, the winning point, if we can say so, is the cross-sector collaboration. I couldn't agree more, especially from the organization I come from, which is all about cross-sectoral collaboration. That's indeed quite an important first step to any successful implementation of any policy, I would say. So if I may comment on it, abusing of my power of moderator. But to our speakers, do pay attention to these answers, because actually we want to come back to you. So we want to ask you, we will choose the two main, let's say, best options selected by the participants, and we want to hear your take on it. Like, do you agree? Is it something that you share as well? What can you do with it? So that will be also an important perspective to have from your side. So let's see a few more participants. what they have to say. Cross-sector remains on the top, followed by recognizing the importance of lifelong and life-wide learning. And I have to repeat myself there as well, coming from the lifelong learning platform. I couldn't agree more that lifelong and life-wide learning, it's key. It's a key step. But things are changing, so maybe it won't be the second. Let's see a few more. Just half of you have answered, so don't be shy. Do try to use, if you are having troubles using Slido, do let us know in the chat. And if you're falling asleep, well, you can't let us know, but we will probably realize after a bit. I think there was I read somewhere that Zoom has this option that if somebody is falling asleep or not active anymore, you can send a sound to the person to kind of wake up and come back to the screen. So maybe that's something in the future we will be using more, or maybe the teachers in the virtual classrooms are already doing so. Okay, so I don't know if we want more answers. The bridge team tell me if we should stop here or if we want to wait a few more seconds. We already have 40 participants that answered. That excludes me. I don't know if the guests have also. Okay, yeah. The team is happy, I hear, so we keep going. A few more participants. Okay, so well, we don't see much of a change. The trends is there, cross-sectoral collaboration being on the top, followed by lifelong and life-wide learning. That was also mentioned by Hyun Mook Lim. Ensuring we have sufficient resources in place, obviously very important. Collaboration between different types of transformative education, investing in competences, and then at the very bottom, better monitoring of progress. I guess it's just a question of priority, not that this is not important, but in terms of priority probably comes last. Okay, maybe we can go back to our guests. Thank you. So I guess the top two you saw were the cross-sectoral collaboration and the recognizing of lifelong learning and life-wide learning. So I would like to maybe have again the speakers. This time you are free to choose the round. So who wants to be first and next? And yeah, what is your takeaway from this results? How do you think these two main? Obviously, all the answers were correct, and all the answers are important steps. So we can't really choose, but as we had to prioritize, the priority was quite obvious. So, who wants to go first from our guests and share about these results? Miguel? Yes, go ahead. Thank you.
I can open the floor. Well, as you said very well, Bricken, I think that it's not a question of importance. All these dimensions are important. It's a question of priority, and indeed, the first step is a cross-sectoral cooperation. We can't speak about developing innovative pedagogical approaches if there is not a cross-sectoral collaboration between decision makers, practitioners, formal, non-formal educators, civil society organizations, and this is fundamental. Because if we don't have this collaboration, there is very little chance that education can really develop in a satisfactory how to say rhythm. My other comment actually is about the competences development. I'm quite surprised that this option comes very at the bottom of the list, because and this is linked also with this cross-sectorial collaboration. This collaboration is not only in terms of advocacy, it is also in terms of capacity building and professional development of educators. And if you need to work on on shared competences, agreed competences linked to target 4.7, because this is the basis of the process. And then it relates to the lifelong learning process, and I can't agree more. And here again, at this level, we need a cross-sectorial collaboration, especially between formal and non-formal educators, academia, and also training institutes, because these are the main the main actors in terms of the professional development of educators. So I think these three dimensions are intertwined and cannot work without each other.
Thank you, Miguel. Maybe the next speaker can try to say what can we do better. So I see Hyun Lim. I'm saying the whole name because I'm trying to be correct, but you can tell us how you want to be called. What is holding us back? Like, what can we do to improve this cross-sector cooperation? And also, how can we make the transformative education, the lifelong learning, life-wide learning?
Yeah. On the question about the cross-sectoral collaboration, well, I want to stress of course, we can mention many stakeholders here, parliamentarians and civil society organizations, of course, educators and practitioners. But here I want to stress the importance of cooperation between schools and civil society organizations. Transformative education, as you know, emphasizes active and responsive action to transform ourselves and our society. But in certain cases, the nature of this action can be problematic in schools. If you are a school principal and some of your students are going to join climate strikes, what would you say to them? Would you allow them to skip classes and go to strike? I think there is certain limit to what schools can allow for their students. So if we have some kind of partnership between schools and civil society organizations working in the local community, it would greatly help to advance transformative education. And regarding the other question, the lifelong learning perspective, first, I think we need to admit that it's not easy to focus on transformative education in adult education. Adults tend to prioritize practical skills over citizenship issues when they apply for lifelong learning programs. Many adults seem to think themes like peace, human rights, climate change, gender equality, appreciation of cultural diversity, global citizenship, and sustainability are too serious and difficult. So in order to provide citizenship education for wider public, it is important to make it more interesting and learner-friendly. And we also need to develop teaching and learning methodologies, pedagogies that are adequate for adults. And secondly, given the everyday influence of the mass media and especially social media on the thinking and behavior of adults, we need to bring them on board, especially in our fight against hate, discrimination, prejudices, stereotypes, disinformation, and all those messages denying our common humanity and destroying our solidarity and cohesion. Thank you.
Thank you to you. I see the raised hand, of Lydia first and maybe then Agata.
Thank you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, and then Albin. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Thank you. I thank you very much, Hinmuk, for those comments. I think you've isolated some very pragmatic and real challenges that are before us in trying to promote transformative education. And so thank you for that. I would add another dimension, is that as we have identified, as we are currently now moving into this issue of cross-sectoral collaboration and taking it more seriously, since about a year now, our work on global citizenship has moved into two areas: the promotion of social emotional learning. We're trying to unpack this idea, which is common to all transformative forms of education. And that has been a strategy as a means of bringing different dimensions of transformative educations together, looking at the commonalities among these approaches to education. And one of them is social emotional learning, and we all seem to deal with it in one way or another. So to unpack that and try to provide some clarity on what we mean by that. And also another area of work has been to try to develop substantive collaborations with the culture sector, because we do also believe that all the different approaches to education that are aimed to be transformative have to be embedded in cultural context in the communities. And that is also what brings us together. And what makes education transformative is that we are transforming communities and systems in which we all live, and that is embedded in culture. So through this work, we've actually experienced cross-sectoral collaboration very closely, and there's a long list of challenges, some of which we just listed. If I could add to that list, is a very simply terminological challenges and conceptual challenges. We found, for example, working on just culture and education, what we mean by learning is fundamentally different. In the field of culture, our colleagues working on intangible heritage or living heritage, they talk about the transmission of heritage. But in fact, it is pedagogy. It's about learning, right? And people in education don't consider that as formal education, but it is quite formalized and structured. So already that the language that we use, in fact, what we understand by culture is very different in education as the people in culture would understand culture, where this is unpacked into many different nuances and categories and how that plays out also. So there's a terminological conceptual issue, which means the communities within different sectors and disciplines and institutions don't necessarily understand each other. They don't speak the same language. And that's a huge challenge. And we can't be continuously talking about concepts, but we have to be able to have a pragmatic approach to these challenges in translation and understanding. That would be already just one additional point I'd like to raise. Thank you.
Thank you, Lydia. And actually, I just wanted to abuse a bit of my moderation power to say that that's indeed one of the issues we have seen as Lifelong Learning Platform when it comes to the terminology, even within education and training providers. There is a lot of confusion and often also small tensions between different sectors on what is formal, non-formal or informal learning. And we are developing this glossary now for the last 3 years, and we hope next year to be able to release it, which is a kind of a glossary that contextualizes a bit the terminologies that exist out there, and see if that can bring a little bit of light into this tunnel. But it's indeed a major issue of terminologies, and that also brings and creates more silos. So yeah, quite a barrier to cross-sectoral cooperation as well. But let's hear maybe from Agata and Albin, what can we do better? So how can we create more space for this cross-sector collaboration or make transformative learning a lifelong learning experience? Or just your reaction to the results of the Slido question. Thank you, Agata.
Thank you. So on cross-sectoral cooperation, I think it's as Miguel also mentioned and others. I mean, it's really important to bring the different actors with their own sort of with their own approach or with their own expertise, with their own things they do best to really bring them together to discuss. What we have seen though, especially at the European level, so the moment we go into a little bit more, I don't want to say theoretical because it's not about that, but sort of framework discussions, what I find is very, very important is that is to bring all those actors in, but it's also very important that those actors have sufficiently or look at things with sufficiently open mind to be able to see a bigger picture. Because I think, and I can see actually one comment also on the chat, I feel very often we are faced with a different, I mean, I'll talk about the EU level because that's what I know the best, with different stakeholders coming with their own sort of things, a way of doing, and do not always try to see everything, I mean, like a bigger picture. So I think this is really important that the stakeholders that come to the table and the different actors that come to the table have this open mind and really try to see the bigger pictures from the different angles, because then I really think that we can bring something you know, more comprehensive. And how to do that? I mean, I honestly think that this is basically learning by doing and creating spaces and trying to have as many spaces for such discussion as possible, which then will basically gradually lead to having this more comprehensive or overall approach. What I would like to say maybe about the lifelong part, because I think you have heard the commissioner before, you have heard her focus on youth, and it's very clear that at least her priority in general, it's not about the global education really, but generally when it comes to international partnerships is youth. This is one of her personal priorities. This is also why she also mentions it everywhere. And I think it's natural also when we talk about education, people who do not follow topic, this is a natural, basically natural reflex. I think it's not only because of that, it's also because we do believe that by educating young people, you can also educate their parents and grandparents. So it sort of is a chain reaction. This being said, I also personally do not believe that we should only focus on young people. And I do think that we need tools and programs that also work with other generations. And at the DEAR program, we have been supporting such projects, such tools, and we do want to continue doing so in the future. Thank you.
Thank you to you, Agata. That's indeed promising from your side, and we hope that there will be more take up of this from the European Commission on the other age groups as well. And it's the case when it comes to employment needs, unfortunately. So this is also something to notice. But let's hear maybe from Albin. What is your take on this Slido answer, and what can we do?
Thank you. I think that what I can add, not being a professional educator, but being a lifelong activist or civil society worker, yeah, it's that throughout all my, I would say, 35 and even more years of experiences, is somehow getting over the edges of different languages. And there was a wise person once who said that, you know, the limits of my language are limits of my life. And whenever we were looking for bringing together different, could be in energy sector or in environmental sector or traffic sector and so on. When you're bringing together pedestrian and the traffic and so on, it takes time to learn to find out why is it and why we are proposing solutions. So the very important thing, what I learned is that it takes time, it takes strategy, tactful, it has to be open, it has to create spaces, involve, learning from each other, and you're getting the result, and the things changes. Even in my country, where we always say, not, yeah. But when you look from a little bit longer perspective, there are things are changing. Not all for better, but they are changing. And if we want to steer that, then you have to have some kind of an infrastructure. That's why civil society should great importance for what we are doing. Because we are some kind of an intermediary many times. Intermediary, ground worker. This is all what we have in our capacity. And what I think is that the responsibility, all of us, is to monitor what we are doing, to invest in our competency to change up, to collaborate, to bring us all together. It's the only way we can do it. But as I said, it's strategy, it's tactic, it's bringing together openness, transparency, and creating communities to learn from each other, to understand the values that we bring into that. And we all know how to talk about values in open space, because we have so many of them and we have so many issues with them. So, but anyway, it's a tough way, but it's the only way what we can do.
Thank you very much, Albin. Well, all the speakers have done very well, have been very brave and short to some extent in their interventions, which creates a lot more space also for interacting with the participants that have been following us. So thank you for this first round. It's not over for you. We want the participants to ask you a few more questions. So I would like to again ask everyone to actively participate in the slido.com. The colleagues from Bridge 47 just posted on the chat. Also the speakers, please, I don't know if you have access to the Slido. You can see there are already some questions there. Some have also used the chat for it. So let's pay attention maybe to both and see if we can pick up any other question here that is interesting from the participants. Let's see if everyone is able to use Slido first. I see that there are some questions. Please do use the voting possibility as well. If you like a question, if you don't have a question, but you like one of those that have been already asked, you can just click on the raise hand like this. And I think the more votes the question takes and the more chances we raise it with our speakers today. So do use this possibility to be part of this discussion. The virtual world, unfortunately, doesn't allow us to speak freely to each other and all together at the same time, because it will become quite a mess. But we try our best to get everyone involved through tools like Slido. So do take this opportunity. Okay, so let's take a few seconds to see. And maybe also for the speakers to check the questions and either to choose. Okay, thank you to the team for sharing. That helps so that we can see what questions come up. And obviously you can either choose the question you want to answer to, or follow the voting and the most preferred questions. So we see the first one being, what windows of opportunity do you see to take the Envision 4.7 recommendations forward? So it's more about looking at the future, what can be done to do that. Where do we stand with respect to the Envision 4.7 roadmap? I guess to some extent was already raised or addressed by the speakers, but if any of you thinks that you can add more to that, and maybe you can bring your perspective on it, that will help the participants that are still curious to learn more. Okay, maybe what we can do is that we can keep the Slido screen shared, and maybe we can start with the first question. and see if any of our guests would like to volunteer to address either the first question or any other question, actually, so that you don't feel pushed to. So Lydia, I see that you're volunteering to answer one of the questions, and yeah, tell us more. Which one would you like to reply to?
I'll reply to the anonymous one.
Okay. Yes, go ahead.
What windows of opportunity do you see to take the Envision 4.7 recommendations forward? Now, there are a multitude of opportunities, and I think all opportunities can be explored, or big or small, that are provided. Oh, can you hear me? I heard a click.
Yes,
Hello?
yes. Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
All big or small, and are opportunities provided by institutions that bring key actors, decision makers, and policy makers, professionals together. But to name just a few that I would be immediately connected with is the 5th UNESCO Forum on Education for Sustainable Development and Global Citizenship, which is co-organized by UNESCO and our friends at APSEU, hosted by the government of the Republic of Korea, Ministry of Education and Foreign Affairs. That will take place on the 7th and 9th of September. It'll be taking stock of progress on 4.7. So it really is looking at the whole dimension of 4.7 from an ESDGCD perspective, but which encompasses the different dimensions. And so we will be looking at monitoring progress, strategies for learning and improving, monitoring from different angles, global or regionally and locally. And so I would, given that this monitoring issue is key to the vision as well, I would really emphasize this moment as a key opportunity for advancing the 4.7. And another point would be that I think that we have to take this Envision 4.7, or this approach to education, out of our community and mainstreaming into conversations on education. So all regional, sub-regional efforts around SDG 4, where there are any forum where there are conversations on education in general, I think need to be appraised of this dimension. Unfortunately, 4.7 is often seen as the forgotten target of SDG 4, right? Because it's not looking at the traditional, more conservative, traditional aspects of education. I think, and this has to change. This dimension of learning has to become more central. So any process that involves a conversation on the future of education, I think, needs to be appraised of the Vision 4.7. Thank you.
Thank you, Lydia. I fully agree with you. Who else would like to address this or any other of the questions that you see on the screen? Any volunteers? I don't see any hand, or maybe I'm blind. I see Hyun, yes. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Lydia, for sharing the information about the UNESCO Forum in coming September. Well, that should be definitely one of the opportunities for us to look at the current situation and discuss ways to implement the roadmap recommendations. Well, in addition to that, I want to share another information, which is the research that was conducted last year by two professors, Massimiliano Tarozzi of University College London and Professor Lina Schultz of Alberta University. They studied the current situation of the networking amongst different stakeholders in Europe and North America. So fortunately, they will be presenting the results of their study tomorrow at this conference. So don't miss this opportunity. And I think that will be very helpful, especially for European stakeholders to see, to know who is doing what in Europe and North America. Thank you.
Thank you to you. I see more and more questions. Also, do feel to write just comments or statements that you'd like to share with the speakers and with everyone else, so that either we can comment on, agree or disagree. I think that's also part of the game. But I see Agata's hands raised. So Agata, you would like to address a particular question?
Yeah, thanks. I think it's the question on the challenges that we have, that we encounter in implementation of the targets. I think Lydia mentioned this a bit, but I do feel that at least at the European level, when I think about the Commission, it is the fact that we who sort of work more on the issue in a more comprehensive way, we sit in the development, and so in the international partnerships department, DG, and it's really quite a challenge to reach out to other sort of actors or other topics, instruments, to try to bring it all together. So this is, I mean, as much as we are convinced about the importance in other, and I'm thinking now in, it's what Ilya said also, the education, seeing this 4.7 as part of the more, as really an inherent part of the target 4 is really not that obvious. And even within the DG, because we sit international partnerships, the DEAR part is always seen a little bit outside, because also we focus on the EU and not as the whole DG focus on the outside of the EU. So we really have, I mean, as sort of artificial as it sounds in terms of division, it is a very, very practical problem that we face basically every day. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing as well. Okay, do I see, or do we have any other volunteers? Miguel, you would like to also address one of the questions? And as I see, the number of questions are raising, some of them are quite interesting. I'm also voting. So maybe Miguel, you would like to address a particular question or add up to what was, yes, the screen is yours.
Yeah, actually, it's just a personal reflection about, about how we make, things become true, like the challenge between, the Envision 4.7 roadmap and reality. I think that what is important is there are two levels. First of all, you have to create a space of debate. And to raise also this critical thinking, and then the second level is the implementation strategies or the results of this debate. And again, it's always linked to this multi-actor approach. These spaces of debate, they can be informal or non-formal sector, and having a whole school approach. And here also what is important is the role of parents, involving parents in this debate. I think it is fundamental. And these spaces of debate are important to really reflect on the role of education and how education can be transformative. And I'd like also to answer to one of the comments in the chat about the development of competences. And I think this is really important, because if you don't introduce this competences development, like critical thinking, like multi-perspectivity, empathy, values like empathy, or deconstructing BS discourses, if you don't work on these competences, then you don't have a critical mass. And I think it is really important to really focus on all these competences / values, so that you develop a critical mass. And if you have a critical mass, then you have people who can contribute to an overall discourse about how the role of education and how you can improve the impact of education. And only if you have these spaces of debate, then you can have substantial results and feedbacks for improving the educational mechanisms, and here mostly in the formal system. I think that the non-formal initiatives are always an important input and dimension to help this the improvement of formal pedagogical approaches. And again, at this level, you always require this multi-actor perspective, and I would insist that if you don't bring together around the same table, policymakers, educators, trainers, you hardly make things advance.
Thank you very much, Miguel. I see some interesting questions about aligning the roadmap with the current crisis, or let's say current situation with the pandemic. Others about how can we have a pan-European strategy. I hope the speakers, you can also read the questions, and I see Albin, you would like to maybe answer to any of them or many of them. Help us bring some light into these questions, and yeah, trying to interact also with the participants. Thank you, Albin.
Thank you, Luciana, again. Yeah, it's the organization that at the end of every such coming together, you are going away with more questions than answers. But this is I think something that makes us who we are. But what I wanted to point out is because there are many questions coming in, and that connects, and some of them are connecting with opportunity that we see. I was speaking before about the strategy as an important part of the civil operations in every field we work on. So that you have a common understanding of the aim, where would you like to be in time, how to distribute resources, and all those operational issues we are all dealing with. The challenge here is a little bit specific because it is a very densely populated area with concepts, with many schools, with many languages, with many practices, and so on, that are making this challenge quite intensive, but in a very good way, because it's the learning process we are going through all the time. But on the other hand, it's there was I would say there was some kind of a genuine need on the level of the union to come up with the idea of the European education area that has this kind of a global perspective, also identified in I would say by European politics. And this is something that we could put our eye on and work further regarding that. So it's something that we as a civil society usually, we are looking for the smallest opening somewhere just to get in, to bring something to the agenda. And we know that we have to be precise, argumentative, clear, very transparent on that. And this is, it's this kind of a self-made opportunity kind of operation. is even if there is no direct opportunity anywhere, we can always when we are working together. And I think that even Zoom that came into our life in such a manner as it did, it provided so many possibilities to come together throughout the time zones, throughout the continents, and there is, and it's making, I would say, our strategic position much stronger. It's something new that we learned it very fast, and today it's bringing us together at so many points we couldn't imagine 2 years, 1.5 years.
Thank you, Albin. Indeed, Zoom brought together a lot more people that before probably couldn't meet. But I must say, it doesn't replace the face-to-face interaction, a coffee break. We can talk and chat about these things and connect with each other. So definitely we miss that. So we hope to get that back soon. I see Agata and Lydia. I couldn't see who was first. So I would just go with the feeling that Agata probably was first. So probably Agata, you would like to answer to another of the questions. Let us know which, so also who raised the question feels we addressed it. Thank you, Agata.
Yes, thanks. I feel there's one question that is sort of directed to me in a certain way because it asks about EU institutions. So I feel obliged to answer, even if I don't really have a clear answer. I think on this particular point, we need to ask ourselves a question: why would there be a need for such a policy strategy at the EU level? What is the added value of having that at the EU level as opposed to other levels, be it national, be it to Council of Europe, be it, I mean, so that there has to be quite a clear reason for that, for this to be even considered to be done at the EU level. And when I say EU level, I mean the institutional, because of course it's something else when it's done at the European level. But when we talk about institutions, I think that's a very important question, and there have to be really good arguments for that, why it should be at the EU level. Now, of course, the complication for doing it at the EU level is that the EU doesn't really have competence in the area of education as such, which means it's really the member states that sort of have the competence in the area, and we support, as the Commission, for instance, in exchanging, in creating good practices and so on. But at the EU, as the EU does not really have a full competence on that, so that's another complication. Now, I do feel that there are some sort of softer tools that could be, and I can think, for instance, of Council conclusions on that topic, which would be interesting. But that's mainly, I would say, I think that's a question of member states being also interested in seeing that added value at the EU level and pushing for something like that. The Council presidency, for instance, I'm looking here at Slovenia, for instance, in the upcoming month. So it has to be a sort of, there have to be a sort of actors at the EU level that want to push for it quite strongly, having good arguments to be actually able to do something at the EU level at a sort of institutional way. Thank you.
Thank you, Agata. And you did remind us of this Council recommendation that is also in the drafting process, and there is an open public consultation, which is also one of the tools citizens across Europe and the world can influence EU policies. So I really invite everyone to use that also as an opportunity to bring up the Bridge 47 and Vision 4.7 roadmap priorities and recommendations. It's this Council recommendation about environmental sustainability, and I think we can there share what we think should be the priority and the angles we want these to be addressed. So saying that, I see that Lydia's hand is still up, and maybe Lydia, you would like to answer to a particular question?
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you too.
Thank you. Thank you. It's always a question about the actors. Who are those actors we should be reaching out to? And also the connection with the COVID pandemic. So I think it's true. We haven't really mentioned that. And on one hand, it's refreshing to be discussing it, but on the other hand, I think it's sort of the elephant in the room. because as I mentioned earlier, that as we are moving into this new era, we have to probably see transformative educations in all their forms as a key solution and ensure and building healing from the crisis, ensuring that education systems are healed. And so transformative education can also serve as a force to strengthen education systems and help individuals and communities heal from the pandemic as well. And so this means that the pandemic has in fact been a huge challenge in that there has been some education systems we have found that have unfortunately narrowed down their scope and tried to focus on what they consider as essential learning functions, which unfortunately has maybe led to the exclusion of typical 4.7 areas and concerns, focusing on digital learning and the so-called basics of education, but has also created certain opportunities, and it's uncomfortable using the word, but let's say created some disruptions that are creating opportunities and awakening to the fundamental value and importance of 4.7, though maybe not phrased and worded in those terms, but where we're talking about the role of education as a social institution, realizing that for children, it's much more than just about learning content. It's core to their well-being. It allows them to take those informed and healthy decisions. It's what will allow us to find in the long run education throughout life, solutions to such major global challenges. So it's been a learning opportunity, a learning moment, as we say in education, this crisis, to really talk about those global issues we talk about in 4.7. And in this respect, the crisis has also created an opportunity to look at an education in new ways, where learners have been learning outside of school. And so looking at those new actors in the field of education that are innovating pedagogically. Of course, there's a corporate world developing those digital platforms that we maybe should be working with, but also those non-traditional education institutions that are developing very solid education programs that are much more appealing for learners, especially as we move into a digital era. And here I'm talking about museums, foundation, all the artists and creatives, what we call tradition bearers as well, community leaders, associations that are seriously thinking about, their educational function. So I think these are actors we should be working with increasingly, especially as we are at this juncture where there has been this crisis and things that have to be rebuilt, but differently with these new tools that we've learned to develop, and with these actors that have now stepped out and filled the void that the education institutions have not been able to provide during the pandemic.
Thank you very much, Lydia. And I do indeed agree on the fact that, this current situation to a certain extent has brought us globally more, engaged in an issue that everyone was concerned from. And I think it's in a way opportunity we might maybe use in order to really bring the issue and the target 4.7 on the table, because I think it's a moment where people have this attention to the global issues and global challenges that we are facing. So it's quite an opportunity, no matter if the fact that we indeed, it's also a difficult situation for everyone that we are going through, but we're sharing the same issues and we can find solutions together. So I really believe on that. But moving on, as I see there are lots of questions still, but timing is also running. And we want to ask more concretely the next steps first to the participants and then to the panelists. So maybe we want to just give 5 minutes to the participants first to let us know through the slido.com what will be your next, or what should be our next steps forwards in implementing the target 4.7. What is your opinion on that? Let's see what these next steps should be. And then we will ask our panelists to also in 1 minute say what will be your next step. So what will you do after this meeting or in the weeks and months to come to implement Target 4.7, or at least try to bring its implementation up. I don't know if the screen shared is the right one, but no, it's not the right one. Someone is typing. Okay, good. So that was fixed. So please still stay on the slido.com and do write your answers there. And then the team will share the response and we will see what everyone think should be the next steps. I see in the chat, Jacob, thank you for also sharing the council, the open public consultation. I see Miguel is also sharing global education guidelines. Thank you for that. And I see some more questions. Okay, we can still address that if there is time, but let's see first if we have your answers. Okay, what should be our next steps forward in implementing the SDG Target 4.7? I see only 5 of you being online, but I don't see any answers yet. Is anyone having issues with it, or is just you need time to think? Maybe let us know through the chat. And if no one has an answer to that, then it means the pressure is all on the panelists to tell us what will be the next step. But let's wait maybe another short minute or a few seconds. Okay. I don't know if the participants know where to type. So you are actually in the live poll where the question is, and the question that I just also mentioned was there what should be our next steps forward in implementing the SDG Target 4.7. I see 9-10 participants, but I don't see answers. So maybe it's just me, and when the team shares the screen, we can see them. Ah, yes, okay, thank you, because I could not see the answers actually. Thank you to the team. Okay, so I see more, oh, it's going very fast. More space to implement projects, from small ones to big ones. Definitely projects is one way to go forwards. Combining research, policy and practice. Continue to build common understanding by different stakeholders. I think this is like a continuum kind of work. We can never stop building that understanding, as also understanding changes with time, so, and context. So it's an ongoing work we need to all do. Ensuring that Bridge 47 project continues. Who was that? Okay, deepen our collaboration with the culture sector as means to develop innovative approaches to transformative learning. That's also an interesting angle, how we can work with the world of culture. Culture plays quite an important role in the issues of related to citizenship and global citizenship. Culture awareness, very important. Collaborate and share responsibility, writing curricula and using them. I think using them, it's quite an important aspect. Create a pan-European strategy. I see many want this pan-European strategy. So Agatha, that's maybe for you. More advocacy, get to work. So the participants who wrote that, do you mean like we should get even more into the work of implementing it, right? Developing guidance on social and emotional learning to help unpack this core dimension of transformative education. More advocacy again, creation of political strategy, When I hear more advocacy, my reaction is, yes, we need to do more advocacy, but we also need to see how can we completely change the way we do policy and decision making, so that no one has to fight for their rights, but rather being part of the decision making and policy making in order to just defend and express their needs, and so that their needs are on the table, but that everyone has this right of an ownership of deciding for their own life and deciding what life should look like for them. So I think it's more rather changing the way we do policy and decision making, so that we don't need to, struggle so much at advocating and lobbying and fighting for rights which should be protected and defended. So, but yeah, I do understand that we live still in a very top-down institutional approach, or top-down policy-making approach. Okay, so I do see awareness along with participation, resourcing long-term initiatives, many of you, so many different next steps. I think all of them are valuable, all of them are interesting, and I'm sure the team of Bridge 47 will take them on board and will be part of the report that will be shared also with the participants. So keep writing there, while we maybe go back to the panelists and ask the panelists to tell us, what is your next step forwards? You saw the answer from the participants. 1 minute for each of you to also close this session with the next steps. Who would like to be the first to guide us into the next steps? I see Hun Muk. Please correct me if I'm actually spelling it correctly.
Yeah, you're quite correct.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I think I am the only person from outside Europe, who is from outside Europe. But I would suggest that Bridge 47 project should continue, given its strength and its convening power. I think it needs to extend over this year. I think for the follow-up actions, as I mentioned, and also as Lydia has mentioned, UNESCO and APCIU will co-organize UNESCO Forum on Education for Sustainable Development and Global Citizenship in coming September. So please come join us for this conference. This will be another opportunity for space for debate, as Miguel has stressed, and we will also have series of meetings with UNESCO field offices, including UNESCO Beijing office. Next month, we will have a sub-regional meeting to review the current situation on global citizenship education in Northeast Asia. And besides these conferences, we think advocacy is also important. As you may know, the Group of Friends for Solidarity and Inclusion with Global Citizenship Education was formed last year by some UNESCO member states supporting global citizenship education. APCIU has been supporting the work of this group of friends, and Bridge 47 is also a strong supporter for this group of friends. And we will continue supporting the work of this group of friends, and we will have a series of activities this year and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you to you, and thank you to the invitation to the forum. This is a very concrete next step, I would say, and very, very good job indeed that you are doing as well. And I think it's very valuable for this Bridge 47 work as well. And yes, we should continue Bridge 47. I agree on that. What is your opinion, Albin? What is the next step? I think I saw your raised hand, so probably you want to go next.
Thank you again. I hope you can hear me well, because my internet is showing that it's unstable. So I will try to talk a little bit slower. It's in the long trait of my family is saying that it's if you are throwing a ball long enough to the wall, even wall learns something. So it's, and this is something what what has been done in the past years after we have Agenda 2030 Sustainable Development Goal, where we pointed out 4.7. We created a global network supported by European Commission, where there was a lot of advocacy, innovation, networking, new partnerships were built up. So a lot of things are in place. So now what is it is that it means that we have to go the next step forward. What does it really mean? I think it's upon the community to come together to decide. And I hope that we will manage to do something in the following period. I'm not so sure about the Slovenian presidency of the Council, but working in a longer perspective, that we will get some Council conclusions that will point out the necessity of a pan-European strategy on 4.7. But this is, I think, as I said, step by step, persistent. We know where we're going, why we are doing it, why we have to do it. Is that the planet doesn't wait, and what we are doing with it also is upon us.
Thank you, Albin. Who would like to go next? We're also running a bit late. So Miguel, yes, thank you. And then Lydia, and then Agatha. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll try to be very short. Next steps, actually, I would say that actually it's a continuous process, an ongoing process. Permanently working on the capacity building and professional development of educators through tools like the Global Education Guidelines, but also online training courses that are going to be implemented next month. But also advocacy. We are continuing in organizing these expert meetings, multi-stakeholder expert meetings, following this logic of having decision makers, practitioners, educators, civil society organizations involved in this debate and on their reflection on how to improve global education or global citizenship education. And in line with this advocacy process, just to inform that all this work and the results of these meetings will sum up with the Global Education Congress, Pan-European Congress in 2022, in May 2022. And also maybe while speaking about advocacy, referring to the Council of Europe Steering Committee, where Education Steering Committee, where we voice the results of our work and the expectation of educators, and also underline the fact that all this process is always on a continued collaboration, institutional collaboration between peer organizations. We work with Bridge 47, with UNESCO, with GIN, and I think this coordinated approach is fundamental to the reinforcement of global education / global citizenship education. One last point, and to answer many questions that came on the platform, I think that the process itself of all this work is the secret of success. And for me, one of the added values of our work is that we work for educators, but with educators. Formal, non-formal educators contribute to the making of our tools, and also the fact that it's not only formal, non-formal educators, but also, you know, educators from different continents. We promote a truly intercultural and peer learning approach in the making of the tools, and for me, this is really fundamental. And I think that's it. And also, just to clarify, when I speak about competences, it's not just about, you know, knowledge and critical understanding of skills. It's also about values and attitudes. So just to make it clear, and this is why also I shared in the chat the link to the Global Education Guidelines, because there we go deep into this approach. Thank you for giving the floor, and thank you for this opportunity to engage in a dialogue with such a wide range of actors. Thank you.
Thank you to you. So if we can have Lydia and Agatha stay within a minute, that would be great, because we want to show the graphic designers' work as well of this session. Yes, go ahead, Lydia first, and Agatha. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Miguel. I share your thoughts as well. Very quickly, we will continue with what we would call sustaining a global momentum within the UN, playing our full role as an agency within the UN system, going beyond the region of Europe, globally, trying to keep Target 4.7 on the agenda as much as possible, and supporting member states around the world and building a sort of an alliance of countries sharing that vision and the spirit of 4.7, understanding the need to contextualize this notion very much in region, using different language and concepts nonetheless. So to sustain that vision, that momentum, we need to sustain partnerships and create opportunities for dialogue, which is the forum coming up in September, which is a priority. Of course, for us, it's also about giving the technical means for member states then to take action. So we will be developing policy guidance. We are now working, as I mentioned in Slido, social emotional learning, deepening connections as well with the culture and education sector, and developing capacities as well, developing a training online and helping actors in education and culture work together, because it doesn't come naturally. So we were developing some tools and resources online to make those connections possible, to actually realize and implement and transform these forms of education. And finally, we do a lot of high-level advocacy work, which is responsive to the political agenda, which is right now very much among heads of states and political figures and population around issues of racism, human rights, hate speech, and disinformation, which emerges as critical issues under the pandemic. And for us, these are important challenges threatening the stability of our society, and where global citizenship education for sustainable development, or transformative forms of education are key responses. So rallying the forces of transformative education to address these illnesses. So this will be high on our agenda in the coming weeks and months in September. Thank you.
Thank you to you. And Agatha last.
Thank you. So I think it's at our side. So I can say that we will definitely continue to support as far as possible initiatives that do aim at sort of having long-term strategic approach to global education or global citizenship education at the European level, be it in the context of a Commission, Council, Parliament, but also really the sort of bottom-up. And I do feel that by gradually bringing the different strands together, we might have a comprehensive framework in a few years at the European level, whatever its form will be. So I think that's something we definitely want to continue. We are also, you might know, we are currently in the process of programming, so sort of deciding our next 7 years of funding, and of course we will also continue to trying to ensure that implementation of Target 4.7 is also there. this is one thing, so amount of resources is one thing, but second thing is also the making sure that we make all the links and implement the most effective way. And there I also feel that we really need to, we have some work to do to bring the different instruments together from the different sort of topics, areas, and try to create a more comprehensive strategy or approach to funding and to implementing global education initiatives. Thank you.
Thank you very much to all of you, and thank you to all the participants that have been actively listening to us during this 1 hour and a half. This was a very fruitful discussion, and I hope and I wish this would be not the last, but just one of the many that will continue also within the work of Bridge 47, but also all its member organizations, part of the network. So we have a lot of work ahead of us, that's for sure. And it was clear from what you said as well. But it's part of the work of many of the institutions at the different levels, and is also on our side to continue to push and advocate for this target implementation. So I just would like to thank also the Bridge 47 team for organizing this session and instructing us very well on how to make it on time, although we are around 10 minutes late, but we're 10 minutes late, but it's okay. I think we will skip maybe the graphic design, but the team tells me that it will be available later on, and actually probably you can already see it a bit as I'm speaking. There is one of the screen is about this image, very nice one of all of you and all the sharing that you did during this discussion. You can have a look at it later on, and I will just probably stop here and thank once again all the panelists for joining, and everyone else, and give the screen to Alan. Alan, are you there? So can I hand it over to you and say goodbye to everyone? Right?
Thank you,
yes.
Verkena.
Thank you, Alan, and thank you to everyone.
Thank you for guiding us through this excellent kickoff session. Hope you all enjoyed the morning so far, or whatever time of day it is there. As you mentioned, the debates continue for next 3 days, so please stay with us. In just 5 minutes or so, we will welcome UNESCO Assistant Director General Stefania Giardini. So if you can take quickly a glass of water, coffee, tea, whatever your drink of choice is, and hope you will be still able to stay with us. So hope to still see you in 5 minutes, and thank you, everyone.